Not the video yet. Okay, so we're live now.
Okay, folks, hoping this is live. It's probably going to say start video. So I'm just watching it on my side, start the broadcast. Okay, we're there. Can we get a little feedback?
Okay, Christina says, okay, there we go. That means they can see us and also hear us. You guys can hear us, right?
Just checking for some. I'm watching the chat on another screen, folks. Okay, thanks,
Okay,
Christina.
Christina says yes. Okay, great.
So just let's jump into it. This might take a while. We've got a lot of slides, and Subhajit's going to show some great demo of installing JackTrip, getting the server going, and connecting. We'll try to focus on those, but also focus on questions, because I think we got a lot of good questions last time, and I want to address those a little bit. So I'm going to go through these slides pretty quickly. Replay will be available. You'll get a link as a person who registered. You'll get a link by email in a couple hours, and then you're always welcome to follow up with questions by email. Okay, so outline here, pretty much what I said. A quick overview of JackTrip and the JackTrip servers, and that's because some people may not have caught the first workshop, so we'll just do that. Then Subhajit's going to go through an installation and then how to start the server and connect to it. And then I'm going to address some of the stuff that was brought up last time, like how do you do JackTrip with large groups? You may notice that we're configured to sell 2- and 4-person JackTrip servers right now, but that's because that's what we configured for initial stuff, and we're finding more demand for the bigger groups. So we'll talk about that. And a lot of people are in regions further away from the current servers, so we'll talk about options for that. And then just an idea, a step-by-step approach to see if it's the right solution for your needs, because there's so many variables in there, and we don't want to see anybody investing a huge amount of time or expense and then finding out that the network doesn't match, the needs. Okay. And as I mentioned last time, internet audio technology can be full of complexities. Some folks in the audio engineering industry are used to it, or if you use Pro Tools, all that kind of stuff, yeah, you're probably used to it. Real quick question.
Steve, 1 second.
Yeah.
I need to stop you there.
Yeah.
You there. Mary Jane is saying stopped here. I think some guys are gonna face like video stop or audio stop, something, or like some issues like that. If that happens, guys, just find for a reconnect button. I think it has to be there, some button called reconnect, and click on there. I think the webinar will resume for you guys. That's an issue people had in the last webinar also, so that's why I mentioned it. Okay, Steve, carry on.
Okay. Why don't we wait and see if there's any other folks that are saying that we're back. Okay.
Okay, Mary Jane
and
is
we
having
get
some
one
problem.
more, just waiting to see if anybody else has a, yeah. This is interesting. The reconnect, it's for both of us, so it's not our network, it's the thing. Yeah, this is interesting. So it keeps dropping out, so that must be the server that we're going through. We may have to do a different webinar server because they're not using our servers. Yeah, this is another company that does webinars, so we'll have to deal with that. Apologies, folks.
Yeah.
But it could be also just because of the number of people on here. So keep chatting. Subhajit watching the chats. Our colleague Shagato is also watching, so he can alert us. Audio gone. Boy, this thing is great. Are you hearing my audio, Subhajit?
Yes, I can.
Okay, it's our server. So great, thanks, George. I would say, folks, pay attention to the reconnect button. That's the only thing I can think of. And then we'll figure out for next time if there's a better webinar product out there. Okay, so I'm going to go through these slides fairly quickly and addressing some of the stuff that we addressed last time, as I mentioned. Real quick, if you got time, throw in some information in the chat. What are you guys most needing at this time? Because there is obviously a lot of interest in virtual music classes, and some folks are needing virtual music collaboration, virtual music recording. But anybody, just throw in your needs. Okay, real-time rehearsal, teaching choir, all of the above. Okay, that's great. Hello, Satoshi. We'll try and get the.
Well, yeah, Satoshi is here, so I'm gonna mention that I'm not gonna make the same mistake, Satoshi. I'm gonna call you he from this time onwards, and you can call me ma'am, by the way.
Great. Okay. Oh, this is great. Big band, teaching and jamming, 5-piece metal band. Yeah, yeah. Oh, this is great. This is great. Okay. All right. Feel free to keep throwing those in there. I'm going to move forward in the slides here because we got a lot. And we're going to try and reserve at least 20 minutes for questions because a lot of good ones came up last time. And we're going to try and address some of those this time. So questions you have now, if we can't answer them, we'll do it again in another webinar. Okay. Real quick overview. Right now, JackTrip, it's open source software. We have taken that and tried to make it a little more user-friendly by having the servers there with a much more user-friendly web-based interface. But in general, there's still issues with using it on a Windows machine, and that's because of Windows. So we have a partner, Network Sound, Silicon Valley company that's been around for 8 years or so, doing some very high-end network audio equipment. And they are offering a low-cost box that is like this one here that I'm holding up. If you can see it in my little window, this thing would be sort of good for substituting for Windows users. And with this, you would use audio interface like the one I'm holding up. This is an M Audio, but folks might have UA, Focusrite, Scarlett, PreSonus, stuff like that. So Network Sound sells a package with all that stuff. Okay, and overview of JackTrip. Real quick, if you hadn't heard, it reduces latency a lot because it doesn't compress audio like Zoom and Skype and others. You can go to our website and look at the listen page to see latency image, and I'm pasting those real quick here. JackTrip has different settings that get used depending on network distance and network quality. This one here is a picture taken of a 200 and something mile distance, San Francisco to Santa Barbara. A setting in JackTrip where you can say 64 frames per period, and that with a little clap test, we got audio coming in 96 milliseconds ahead of Zoom. And as you folks may know, musicians want about 30 milliseconds max in order to stay in sync. And then JackTrip actually can do 32 frames per period, so it's even faster. And then we're getting 124 milliseconds ahead of Zoom. That varies over the distance, so you can see even better results. If you're not, let's say, 300-400 miles apart. We'll get into the distance a little bit later.
Yeah, Steve, just stop for a second. For all the people who are actually throwing all the questions, and I see there are really, really interesting questions coming in the chat box right now. I'm requesting all those people who are actually putting all the questions in the chat box right now, just keep them in your brain and just wait for the question and answer section. We will get to all those questions, like as many questions as possible in this webinar. Just hold on to them. Okay, we will continue with the slides for now and then do the question and answer session.
Yeah, and that's actually good though. If folks do have the questions come to their brain and they forget because they have questions later, I think we could scroll back through the chat window as well, because I see some great ones.
Oh,
One person talked
yeah.
about the Linux micro PCs and the drivers are the problem. Actually, this has been solved, especially with the PreSonus and Raspberry Pi version of JackTrip. So that's Network Sound's skill set. Actually, they've got that figured out, but we actually have not had issues, believe it or not. Raspberry Pi is working great, so I'm calling that a Linux micro PC. Also on our listen page, you can compare the sound quality of compressed audio compared to JackTrip. And so just FYI, the servers that we set up are there to make it easier to connect, partly better user interface, but also not having to do firewall configurations, which ends up happening if you have a big set of people that need to connect to each other. So if you look at this picture here, this is a JackTrip setup without a server. And in reality, every musician ends up having to run their own server to some degree and then connect to other people's servers. And you end up having to do firewall port opening for each person, and home router becomes a mess. Audio connections testing between each person. And then if we look at the server idea, everybody just connects to this one section, this one IP address, one server, running JackTrip software, and then with a nice interface that's web-based to connect, and you get to choose your frames per period type stuff. You can fine-tune it for your network performance. Okay, now Subhajit's going to do a run-through of installing JackTrip on a Macintosh, just so folks can get a good frame of reference of what that process is like and how it would look. Hopefully that helps folks that haven't had the time to invest on actually installing JackTrip. So go ahead, Subhajit. Take over, I guess.
Actually, Raymond is asking, there is a Windows version, right? Raymond, I want to say that there is a Windows version, but we are actually having huge problem with the Windows version, current Windows version right now. So we are still working on that. So currently we are actually recommending Mac and Raspberry Pi and Linux systems like Ubuntu and Fedora to use this kind of system, like JackTrip system, what we are offering.
And Satoshi, that is the product that you put up there. I see that Network Sound product. That is the link.
So I'm going to continue to show how to install this on Macintosh, and I shown this to the previous in the previous webinar, and to the people who already saw it, just take a look at it again for other people actually. Okay, so first of all, you need to download the software, which is available in the Stanford University website. Just Google search, do a Google search on JackTrip CCRMA, and you can see that the URL is ccrma.stanford.edu. You can get the software from there, and you need to download the Mac OS X version of JackTrip. And also there is JackTrip works with other software, which is JackTrip is actually dependent with that software. The other software is called Jack, and when installed, you will see that as QJackCTL. The software will be called QJackCTL when installed. So I'm going to download both of the softwares right now in this video. Okay, so I'm gonna check the chat box. Okay, yeah, Madeline, I'm gonna talk slowly. Don't worry. Okay, so now I'm gonna talk slowly. Thanks for the suggestion, by the way. And okay, so the both of those softwares are downloaded, and this video has been recorded via TeamViewer. So you can see that a system admin, you can install this software using like with the help of a system admin also. It's pretty easy to install. Okay, so Jack software or Jack, the main software, Jack software is actually not from directly from App Store, from Mac App Store, and you need to install that by going to the security settings of the Mac, which is security preferences, I think. And this is the way you need to go in this video. Go to system preferences, security and privacy. And in there you will see that there is an option called open anyway. So when you try to install the Jack software for the first time, it will not open. It will say that this software is not from a trusted developer. So after that, when you go to system preferences and security and privacy, you will see that this open anyway button is already there. You need to click on this open anyway button to continue with the installation. Well, after that, this is pretty standard Mac software installation procedure. You need to keep on clicking the continue button, and it's pretty small software. The total, like both of these software, will take maximum of 100 MB of space in your hard drive, and that's it. Okay. Oh, first of all, you need to restart. What's the video is stopped again? Okay, I'm gonna start the video again. For some reason, it stopped. I'm sorry, guys. Steve, is it playing or it's loading on your side? Okay, so what I was saying, that you need to restart your computer after installing Jack, and after that you can install JackTrip. Okay, and this is the warning they are giving, that you need to restart the system. Okay, so the Jack is installed now, and it's asking for a restart, and after the restart you need to install the JackTrip. Well, JackTrip is not going to ask for anything like you don't need to go to any security settings or anything. It will be installed automatically, and it's also a pretty standard installation procedure. I don't know why it's exiting, Steve. I really don't know why the video is getting stopped again and again.
Well, the main thing is we've got the installation there, and then I think the next part of the video would be the server setup. So why don't we
okay,
we'll just go on to the server setup video.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So in the next video, we are going to show you how to purchase a JackTrip software from our website. The website is MusiciansTogehter.com. You need to go there to purchase a new server, private server. Okay, I'm stating one more thing before the video starts. If it stops again in the middle, I need to start again from that position. So please bear with me. Okay, you need to go to MusiciansTogehter.com. Directly, you can go directly to that URL, or you can search on Google with our website. And you can click on that Connect Me button at the top, or you can click on that Sign Up link on the nav menu of the website. And then click on Start My Server. It will take you to our storefront. Our storefront looks like this actually, and there are three types of product we are offering right now. The first one, I think it's getting covered with this suggested videos for some reason. The first one is there. It's JackTrip servers, what we actually discussing about in this webinar. And the next one is personal consultant. Like if you need to install, if you having a problem installing in that software, we can do it for you. And also there is a guidance for 2 hours. So these are three products we are offering right now. You need to purchase a private server. You need to click on the first product in this storefront. Well, after that, you need to select for how many people you actually want the server for. We are currently offering the server for one person, which is a test server. One can actually check before purchasing it for their group. One can actually check personally if the server works for them or not. And the other two options are 2-person and 4-person server. Like if you want to jam with one other person in your group, then you can purchase the 2-person server. And if you are having a small band, or if you want to like teach a small group of students, then you can purchase the 4-people server. Right now in this demo video, we are purchasing the test server, which is for one person. And after selecting the server, like how many people you want to try it for, then you have to select the city where you want the server. Right now we are offering 11 cities worldwide, and we are trying to expand it as much as possible. The updates will be there soon. And then you need to carry on with the purchase procedure. After this, this is a standard product purchase system. This is actually a subscription. So you need to put your credit card details in the next step. But before that, you need to create a new account in there. And this is a demo account I'm creating in this video. Okay, so after creating your account and filling up all the details about your account, you need to click on continue and then proceed after selecting the name and all. So here you need to put the credit card details and click on proceed again. And here you need to put the details and all. It will take like 10 or 15 seconds max to complete the purchase.
And we'll talk about the reason the test server isn't free. That's why we've tried to keep it as low as possible. There's an actual fairly major cost on our side, so we'll talk about that.
Okay, so the video is stopped again.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna
so
start
Josh,
from that part onwards.
Okay. And
Well,
while you're doing
actually,
that,
it is almost like it's complete, but there are some portions left in this video which I need to show them.
yeah, Alan, you can do the test, but to do the test correctly, you need an actual server to do an audio test, and we actually have to start a server at our expense, so that's part of it. The risk is that if we don't do that, you don't get a real actual audio test that matches the way our servers work and stuff like that. And we'd have to put up a bunch of servers that would cost money. So yeah, it's also about yeah. Anyway, Yeah,
Okay.
Raymond, you'll see how we connect.
After, yeah. So after your purchase is complete, guys, you will receive three emails from us. One with your password, like account details and all from our storefront, and one where you can actually get your server details. This is the email where you will see your username and also the link to reset your password. Uh, yeah, this is the mail I'm talking about, where you will see there are two links right now. So if you open the password reset link, it will take you to members.musicianstogetherapart.com, where you can set your account password. You need to keep it in some place saved for future, because you will need it in the future. And after resetting the password, you need to log in, and there you will see your account details and how many people you have bought it for and where is your server. Okay, so that's it in this video. I'm going to show you how to operate this server in after some time, and you need to click on this launch server button to launch the server actually. And that's it for now. Steve, you can carry on with the slide.
Okay. And actually, you'll be happy to know that we have to just run through the slides real quick again. Get back to that. Okay. So we did the JackTrip installation and then the JackTrip server and connection. So you saw that he did a launch server. So why don't you go ahead? I'll stop the presentation. You can start the video again, Subhajit.
You mean the start of JackTrip server, right?
Yeah. So
Okay.
the next video.
And Raymond is asking, hey, the article on Medium says that you connect the computers via IP address or something. Yes, that's right, Raymond. We actually tried to make that as clear as possible for you guys. We actually created a subdomain for all the customers we are going to have. So you can use the IP of your server or the subdomain we provided you. And I'm going to show you that right now.
And we're not going to wait 3 to 8 minutes here. It says it takes 3 to 8 minutes, but Subhajit, you fast forwarded through this, right?
Video, yes, yes. It's actually edited, so there is no
Good,
3-minute delay or 8-minute delay in this video. And your video is stopped for some reason. Did you do that?
No, we're still good.
Video is taking forever to load. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it's working from what I can see.
It's working on your side?
Yeah.
Not on
So
my side.
I'll just narrate a little bit if you don't see it, but what we saw there was the
Okay.
settings that you would see, similar to what you might see with Pro Tools or something like that, or any audio-related stuff. So we've tried to make a GUI interface, and that's on the server, and then you need to match it on your local software on your computer. So I think you've got that coming up, right, Subhajit?
No, it's still loading on my side, Steve. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, the video's playing. So folks, if you don't see the video playing, let us know. But I think Subhajit is not seeing it. So I'll just go ahead and narrate here while we're doing it. So in the Macintosh case, there's these settings with the Jack Audio Connection Kit, which is also called QJack CTL. And these are settings that, again, help people get through latency issues. Thanks, Alan. They get through latency issues, and it's basically about fine-tuning your network. And there are videos on YouTube that are very helpful for this. And we can sort of send some links out if folks would like. But the way JackTrip starts, you're looking at a terminal window right now. And JackTrip starts with an IP address. Now, the subdomain is good for that dashboard, but the IP address itself has to be used in the Macintosh version. Because again, this is open source software that's being actively developed by academics. And so what we saw there was the JackTrip command, and then it connects to the it connects to the server, and each person runs that command in their terminal. And yes, it's not pretty, and that's but that's the way it is. It's it's sort of the only option right now. Great, Alan's got a tutorial there for folks to see. That's great. So let me jump back to the slides. You can hear Subhajit, right?
Yeah, actually, I'm sorry, my internet got disconnected for some reason, and I needed to switch my connection. I'm sorry.
Okay, great. So that's why the YouTube or the video stopped playing. All right, so that was what we did. We started the JackTrip server, and then we connected to it. And I know we didn't show much of the connection part. What we'd like to do in a forthcoming webinar is just show that part that goes after that. There's not enough time to actually show the connecting to the server and playing, music through it. So we can do that in real time. It's just not going to sound as good because we'll be doing it through microphones on the live webinar. But we do encourage people to you could rewatch the video in the replay when we publish it, or again, just if you're comfortable with the JackTrip installation, the instructions are on that ccrma.stanford.edu site. Try that installation, and then again, we try to keep the test servers as low cost as possible for that. Okay, now one of the things that came up last time, obviously, is how do you use JackTrip with larger groups, let's say a choir. And so real quick, JackTrip is capable of up to 24 musicians approximately. When you get more than that, it gets quite harder to manage, and you have more strange things happening that can affect the performance. So one is just extra bandwidth coming into the server. So you think 24 people with this super high data rate with the the 48 kilohertz DVD quality audio. So that can be an issue. And then you have to have a good powerful server. And that's all configurable, but it's something that requires a lot of caution and engineering and testing. So that's something for the bigger folks if you do have a budget that would accommodate that. There's literally people doing much more than 24 right now as a test. The other thing is that, let's say you're a choir and you're used to hearing other people in your section, that effect isn't available with JackTrip because JackTrip's mixing everybody together. And so you're not going to have that extra input of hearing the people that are real close to you. So the large groups require some engineering. If you have a medium-sized group up to 8 users, we can do that. We just haven't put it on our website for purchase because we want to be very cautious about people doing that and not having it work, because you got 8 different network connections and all that. So we want to evaluate first if that's right for you, and then we can make it happen very quickly. The other option is that came up before is hey, what if you're in a place that there is no server within a, let's say, 250-mile proximity? We do have other locations available. The costs are higher because it's using a different service provider. And the part of the reason the costs are higher is because it's priced based on incoming and outgoing data, mostly outgoing, outgoing data, sorry. So there is a lot of data. So let's say you had 8 musicians and they're working an hour a day or a couple hours a week, can be a lot of price. So to know that we you know, you sort of want to get a price before you jump into it, right? So the way we would do it is to try and help people calculate that based on what we get from each person. But these are the additional locations that are available, and it's doable. We just would need some, you know, calculations and budgeting and stuff like that. But these are the cities here that are in addition to the 11 that we have on our website right now. And there's even Sao Paulo, Brazil available. That's a very expensive one. Cape Town, South Africa, also pretty expensive because the prices do change per location. But Northern Virginia is a good one that covers the DC area and larger vicinity, obviously. Okay. So those we're estimating around 150 to 250 per month. And again, that's for those other regions, and they're not on our website because the costs can vary. So, you know, we can try and give you more details on that if you email us, contact at MusiciansTogehter.com. And then another option is you can deploy your own server on your premises. If you have a data center and you think that that's a good place for a server because maybe they have good internet connectivity and always on power and stuff like that, that's doable. We can help make that happen in any fashion. You can put your own software on there if you're comfortable with Linux and shell commands and all that. If we assist in there 3 to 4 weeks time, again, it'd have to be priced based on your needs. So we're looking at $1,500 to $2,000, unfortunately, but that could be potentially useful.
I'm sorry, Steve.
Yeah. You know, the issues there, though, you do end up having to deal with firewall port openings, and some organizations are very legitimately restricting of that. You have to go through a lot of procedures, but we're there to help make that happen. But again, this turnkey cost would include server hardware. If the previous functions are not as affordable or take too long, it's still worth testing to one of our servers that's nearby. The reason is there are musicians having success 1,000 miles apart. And so I see somebody Chicago, Milwaukee, try Toronto, let's say. The factors actually there are related to how good your network is, and that, like, let's say your internet provider might have a better backbone to that location. Also, the beats per minute, the slower it is, the more latency sometimes that can be tolerated by the musicians. So that's where it's worth testing. And then that 1,000 miles obviously inserts extra latency. So you combine that beats per minute factors, network quality, settings of 128 or 256 in the JackTrip server. So with all that, you'll see why it's hard to offer a free test server, because it can take a while. It's all about fine-tuning and testing. If it does work out, you'd be very happy because it's the only solution with that DVD quality audio. And then step-by-step approach is kind of what I was just saying. You know, if you're close by or if you're far apart, test to the nearest server, you know, and choose a server that's everybody in your group. You can boot up that private loopback server, or you can boot up a 2-person server. And if it doesn't work, you've only lost $15 or the higher price for the 2-person server, which I think is $45. But it gives you the chance to look at the latency, the network quality, and then adjust the fine tuning on the server and also on your own software, and see if you can handle the extra latency that it might take to accommodate lower network quality. So again, it takes fine tuning, it takes effort. The result is usually worth it. And keep in mind that if somebody has 4G, like a smartphone hotspot, really not as good, but doable if you have a willingness to tolerate the longer latency that it would take to overcome the dropouts from a 4G network. George, real quick, yeah, Los Angeles, there is a server there. It's one of the more expensive servers, unfortunately, but it is there. Now, Mary Jane, not sure yet. You'd have to try the 90 miles apart. That's close, but Montana, nearest server might be Oregon. And again, that's a more expensive one. There's lots more information. Sorry, Subhajit?
Yeah, Steve. Actually, I was going to say that we are actually getting into the Q&A portion of this webinar. So just excuse me for a couple of minutes before that, because I want to join in the Q&A portion with you and answer all the questions. Just excuse me for a couple of minutes.
Sure. Yeah. And then, yeah, that was the next slide. So, okay, so why don't I just go through the chat, and folks, just go ahead and keep putting stuff in there. Why don't I go back here through the chat real quick, see if I can grab some questions, and then feel free to add more chat questions as I scroll through. Okay, so and if you don't hear me answer one that you had, that means I didn't see it right, so just type it back in there. Let's see here. Scrolling up. Actually, look at the other computer here. So Satoshi, yes, that was the right link at Network Sound. It's called Jack Streamer is the product there. It's a Raspberry Pi micro PC with the option to get a PreSonus USB interface adapted included. Rural availability, Mary Jane, nothing yet. That's where you'd want to try to your nearest server, to your approximate location, and just see if it's going to work for you. There's a chance it really will. You just have to test it and fine tune it to see how the audio sounds and if the latency matches your needs with, let's say, the type of music you're playing. Barbershop Quartet one time was doing 3,000 miles away because it worked for them. Okay. Jean-Francois, the monthly charge is 15 for a test server, 45 for a 2-person server, 120 for a 4-person server, and and believe it or not, that's the lowest we've been able to go. There's a chance if you're, let's say, a K through 12 organization, we might be able to lower that a little bit, but it is surprisingly expensive to do this, and then we have to worry about, or we take care of security updates, let's say, in all these servers, because they're all actual servers in the cloud, and if we don't take care of security updates, we could have outages, and we don't want to have outages for sure, because some of you folks are going to be dependent on this stuff to be 24/7, constantly available. Otherwise, what do you do for a class or something, And let's go up a little bit here. I'm looking at the stuff here. Christina, Windows, when to get notified. You'd want to keep looking at the CCRMA website, and that's the one where you could find it if you just type JackTrip CCRMA in Google. The Windows one is being actively perfected. The caution I have is I had Windows working fantastic until July 14th, and Windows or Microsoft put out a security update July 14th, and it stopped it from working. It didn't completely stop it, but the audio got just terrible. And the current Windows version that you'll probably find on CCRMA, you would want Windows 10 Pro, and I think a lot of people do have that. And then it looks to be these days that it's limited to a frames per period of 512. So if that doesn't mean anything to you, which it probably wouldn't to most people, it means there's more latency, quite a bit more latency that you would have to tolerate, and your musicians would have to tolerate, because that adds many more milliseconds than JackTrip is capable of shaving off. And then LA, I mentioned that there is an option for LA. It's just the more expensive one. So starting at 70, no, starting at 150 a month and higher. Yes, Alan, JackTrip does the peer-to-peer. More stable, no, let's see, is it more stable? I wouldn't say it's more stable. It's just there's more testing and more experimentation you'd need to do because you have all those different network connections between each person. And then what happens is you actually start a server in your computer for each individual person that you're connecting with, and they start a server, and you have this, somebody has to have a server that connects to each individual person, and then you have this big mesh or web of connections in there. It does work. It does work. Chicago, there is an Ohio list, excuse me, option. That's one of the more expensive ones. But Chicago, I don't have an answer or anything, but you would think that's going soon. But there
Well,
isn't
Steve,
anything.
Jack was asking, like, does everyone in the group need to sign up for an MTN account and install the software? I need to say that no, just one person in the group need to have an MTN account with like for 2 people or 4 people in the group, and the others need to have the system to like jam together. That's it. Only one account is needed for all the 4 people.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was a good question because a lot of folks in the last webinar were wondering if it's a per person monthly, and it's not. It's one server, everybody connects to it. And the only concern is how many people at a time. That's the only engineering or the only choice you have to worry about. Let's see, somebody was asking about a lot of steps involved. The best way to do that is just either watch the replay of this webinar, or there are some great videos out there that people have. If you look on Google or YouTube, you will find some really good stuff, and even teaching about how to use the terminal window on a Macintosh, for instance. Sam, yes, all people are mixed at the server. Audio channels discrete, doable, but more configurations, and that's not something we can scale up to make it easy for teaching people, but yes, definitely doable. You just need a bigger USB interface with more channels. Let's see what else we got. Do you see any other ones?
Yes, actually, Howard is saying, why not put up a slide with existing 11 servers? So I can say, Howard, we have all those 11 servers name in our website, which is musicianstogetherapart.com. You can go there and check out our current server cities.
And yeah, you can check it out also, especially on the network test page, where we have the links to the network test servers. And you can connect to them from your web browser without having to use an actual audio test. It's good because you get to see the ping time and the latency. Excuse me, the ping time is the latency, and then the jitter, which affects the performance as well. Jitter is the variation between a variation of latency. Keep in mind the ping time that you see. That ping time is a round trip, and so your actual one-way latency to the server is one thing. And
Aliza is asking Steve that what upload speed is this?
Okay, I lost you. You still there, Subhajit? Okay, I lost Subhajit. I'm not sure if I lost everybody and everybody lost me. Let me ask, can somebody tell if they hear my audio? I think Subhajit. Yeah, anyway. Lisa, upload speed, you would, okay, great. Thanks, folks, for saying you can hear me. Aliza, upload speed, different from latency, but you would want an upload speed of about 5 megabits per second. The latency is not entirely related to the upload speed, so that's something where you look at the ping results, okay? And the jitter results affect latency in case you have to use JackTrip to compensate. Limit on the number of hours per month, Jack. It's 24/7. So that way anybody can join and leave at the same time. That's good for educators where you want to have students who can just pop on there with each other at the same time. Subhajit, are you back? I think you froze.
Yes, Steve, but my camera is not working and my internet is really, really slow. I'm sorry, guys, for all this mess.
I'll run through it. You're a little scratchy there, Subhajit.
Yeah.
P2P connection with 2 people. No, you don't need a subscription in that case. I would say if you do the P2P, peer-to-peer connection with 2 people, Alan, no need for the server. Just have to make sure you follow the instructions on the CCRMA site about setting it up for peer-to-peer. And it's not necessarily called peer-to-peer. That was the main way that JackTrip always worked, and it just took a lot of connected up plus firewall holes that you have to poke into your router, and that includes setting up a destination NAT traversal setting to that one machine. So the server takes care of firewalls and stuff like that. Josh, incorporate a metronome. You can do that if you have Ableton, let's say, pumping out a metronome in there. And there was a mention of the patch bay in Jack. So you can actually make Ableton Live as one of the items in there. It's hasn't been made to work entirely, and it's not something we could say is going to work, but bring in one of those other sources through a USB audio interface, I say, you're good. And let's see. Yes, Aliza, peer-to-peer can be faster, and that's correct. You're going direct instead of to the server and then back to your partner. And so you could get probably 500 miles that way. And the only drawback is you have to do NAT traversal settings in your router, firewall holes in your router, things like that. So yes, George, packet-based audio. I'm an old amateur radio guy, and guess what, George? This is not TCP/IP. This is all UDP. And yes, it is tricky, and the trickiness of it is only the network connectivity. It's the risks of the current networks being everybody having a different one. Some people might have Wi-Fi only, which is not recommended. You want an Ethernet connection, but some people's routers are upstairs and some are downstairs and you can't run a cable. So then you have to worry about the Wi-Fi coverage and packet dropouts and latency, or rather jitter on the Wi-Fi, and then you have to make sure nobody else is that they're using heavy bandwidth like a person doing gaming online. But yeah, this is UDP, and that's so that you don't have this extra bandwidth and stuff being taken up by the TCP/IP headers. So any of those types of things that folks, if you want to get into, we're happy to do that in another session. And Dennis, yeah, we could probably set up another session for sure. If anybody wants something urgently, we do offer the 30-minute consultation where we take a look at your exact situation and help you step through either the setup or the strategy. And then Aliza, yes, you could put up your own server. Same thing. And if you're running JackTrip, having downloaded it directly from that CCRMA site, you just use a JackTrip -S. And there's a lowercase s and an uppercase s, which you can read about in the help files. We're trying to help people not have to get into that stuff. But if you have the time, the patience, yes, pretty much everything people are asking is doable here. Subhajit, I'm not sure if you're still there, but
yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's a little scratchy. I think we have one more minute before the webinar expires.
Webinar expires. Yes.
Yeah. So, any other last questions that anybody wants to type in there? Consultation session, Mary Jane. Just go to our website, MusiciansTogehterApart.com. Click on the buy now on the pricing page for that. It'll take you to our e-commerce portal, and you just buy it from there. It'll send you a little message saying wait for a link to come at you, and it's a link to where you just select the time on the calendar that's best for you, and then we'll send a Zoom link automatically. And speaking of Zoom, I think we got a good suggestion of using Zoom for the next one of these. Eastern Washington State, Alan, numerous school districts setting up a server. Person to contact when thinking big is probably us. I would start with a 30-minute consulting session. We'll take all of those into account, and that's probably the best way to do it, because there's a lot of concerns and risks and things about bandwidth and firewalls that we want to make sure that somebody doesn't go for all this stuff and then find out later it's not going to meet their needs. Aliza, yes, if you search on Telia Playing Apart, T-E-L-I-A, Playing Apart, you'll see a performance using JackTrip from Sweden, 2015. I was lucky enough to help set that up. Anyway, it's on YouTube, Telia Playing Apart. You can watch the full concert, or you can watch a 5-minute description of why they did it. It was to prove the network quality there. So, all right, we are going to let people go here. Thank you very much. And
thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, contact at MusiciansTogehterApart.com. And the replay will come out later today.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, folks.
Bye, guys. Yeah, thanks for joining.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.